Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Robbie Crager, the Flip Flop Flipper, and today we're here with my friend Pedro Cardona. He is a local legend in the real estate market here, or at least he's becoming one. He is a local real estate investor on the island of Puerto Rico. We're going to get into his story, and we're going to talk about foreclosures, how they work, going to the foreclosure sale, buying from the banks. We're going to talk about everybody. Buckle up, guys. Pedro, welcome to the channel, guy.
Thank you. And, appreciate it. Thanks for that intro. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. One day.
No, you are really well known though, and you're going to be speaking at the local RIA here coming up in a couple weeks, right after Easter.
Yep.
And so I want to get into that, but I want to start with your story and how you became a real estate investor. In fact, we're very much alike. I just left your house, so I went and saw it. Yeah. We walked through it. You're doing the same kind of projects we're doing where they're value add. Mm-hmm. There's not anything at that house that you're not going to touch. Mm-hmm. And it's a bank foreclosure, right? So tell us a little bit, introduce yourself to the gang here, and tell us how you got started in real estate.
Well, thanks again. So my name is Pedro Cardona. I'm a real estate investor here in Puerto Rico. I've been doing this full time since 2015 in Puerto Rico. I got my start in Chicago back in 2013. I'm actually a chemical engineer, trained as a nuclear engineer, so I was doing that at the time. I was working full time and then doing real estate on the weekends and in the evenings. And then I was able to come back to Puerto Rico in 2015 and have been doing that here since. So
and you're no longer engineering?
I do for some friends. I'm a chemical from background, so I have some friends that have like a supplement company and whatnot. Okay. So I'll help them with some stuff on that. Yeah. Like formulations and that kind of thing, but not really.
And you enjoy real estate more?
Oh yeah, I enjoy business really more. In general, and then real estate is the vehicle I've chosen. So. Yeah.
And so before we kind of clicked roll on the camera, we were talking about how you got started with Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so back in 2012, and actually I was just recently married at the time, my wife and I, it's funny because I got into Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? Like a lot of people, one of my best friends, he's the best man at my wedding. He's like, hey, you got to read this book. At the time, I was reading about stocks and watching CNBC and just figuring it out because I noticed that as an engineer, I wasn't going to get where I wanted to go. So I was like, well, what does it take? So I first started with stocks, then I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and that got me hooked into the business real estate realm. So they had these promo marketing or whatever that they were doing that it was like Rich Dad education makes you think that Kiyosaki is going to be there, right? But then in the tiny fine print, they're like, Robert Kiyosaki will not be attending this event.
He'll be attending by videotape.
Yeah, not even. So we went to this, it was like a weekday event, and a lot of these companies that do this education have very similar concepts. So they have a weekday event where a bunch of people go, and then they sell you on a weekend event, which we paid like $300-400, which is a steal when you think about it. It's like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're there all day, 2 people. So they really add the value there. And then in the weekend, they pitch you on their full program. So it's quite common in the industry of how they have it set up. So there, we met a bunch of people that are even actually friends to this day, and we signed up for their $28,000 program. So throughout the Friday, Saturday, they pitched us on the deal, and we're like, shit, how are we gonna do this? We really wanna do it. And they had a bunch of different levels, and then the $28,000 program was where they actually had a mentor. Mm-hmm. And so we saw value in that. We saw value in having someone that they would fly out to your town and they would be there for 3 days and they would be with you in your market.
Wow.
So we figured that would make the most sense for us. So we gathered 7-8 credit cards and put in the $28,000 to do the courses.
Wow. So you went all in. Yeah. Like you're scraping to find the 28 grand.
Yeah.
And it was worth it.
Oh yeah.
You think it was worth it, right?
100%, yeah. I mean, it's been life-changing for us in the sense, meaning me and my wife, because we made the decision together. I was working full-time as an engineer at the time. I don't know, I was maybe making, 2012? I don't know, maybe I was making 80 grand a year or something like that.
So you're doing well.
Yeah, not bad.
As far as being an employee goes back then, that's pretty good. And not to like pump Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. I love the guy. I think he's changed a lot of people's lives. I think you could have picked Jerry Norton's course or anybody's course. Yeah. And it's more about the people that you meet and then you actually taking the time to educate yourself and then actually do it, right?
Exactly. That's
because you could have spent 28 grand and never bought a
Yep.
piece of real estate.
And I know many of people that
Yeah.
been through that. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's just like anything, right?
But there were a few of you,
Mm-hmm.
the ones probably that you're still friends with. They're also the ones that likely have done real estate.
Yep.
Usually
Yeah.
that's the way that works.
Yeah, and through that, I mean, we created relationships and friendships. From there, we got into a local real estate club. I mean, we were in several, but this one specifically, they started offering afterwards a coaching program.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, this specific one, I mean, we're still friends to this day, the ones that did it. And I mean, we've traveled together and done a bunch of stuff. So, I
Nice.
mean, it created amazing relationships. But there, they had a coaching program, which we started, and they're Eye Candy Homes. I think they're still doing some stuff in Florida regarding coaching. I'm not sure, though. And we started with them. It was $10,000, and you would partner on a deal.
Okay.
And you would get half of the deal. They would help with finding it. They would help with funding it, and you would get half of the deal. So it was like a crazy deal, insane. Like,
Wow. That's the way that, I mean, so we do this YouTube channel. We're not trying to be coaches or mentors necessarily. We mentor by doing, right? Like, so I've invited you to partner with us. And if I haven't, I'd very much like to partner with you in the future on some stuff. I tell everybody everywhere I put this content out or any event that I'm at, that's how we expand our businesses through partnerships.
Yeah.
And that's how we're able to mentor people really. One day, maybe we'll do a mastermind or something like that. What I find really fascinating is, so you start out at a local RIA in Chicago, and now you're about to be the headliner at the RIA here on the island of Puerto Rico.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how cool is that?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's crazy to see how things have shifted in, and I mean, relatively short amount of time. That was, I mean, when I first started that program, I mean, my first flip and the coaching program, that was 2013.
Yeah.
So, I mean, relatively speaking, I think that's a short amount of time.
And real quick, so you just have told us that you invested at least $38,000 into your
goodness.
education. You made it all back? It was worth it?
Dude, I've invested probably $700,000 in my education
Okay.
since. I mean, so many different things. And yes, it's always been worth it.
Yeah. And guys, on the channel, I sort of have the idea that I think that the education system in the United States is a little bit broken. I'm going to go a little bit off track here.
I agree.
But I don't think that education is broken. Like, you have to educate yourself and you have to be willing to learn a skill set and stack these skill sets. And this is living proof right here that it's worth it.
Yeah. I mean, you just have to, I think it's a part of it. And what I really like about these types of programs that I've joined is the people that are there, and like the networking and the community, and just the connections.
Yeah.
I think it can change your life if you want it to.
You had to have a part of that. Like, you had to actually start doing the stuff, right? Like,
100%,
that's really the biggest step.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
watching all the YouTube channel stuff that you can find from any of these guys that are out there. All of them have great things that you could learn from them, and you could buy their courses. But the key is to actually become a doer, to actually jump in with both feet, buy a piece of real estate, get your hands dirty, do a flip, buy a bank-owned foreclosure.
Yep.
And this is what you're going to talk about at the RIA in a couple weeks, right?
Yeah. Well, mostly I'll be talking more about the auction process here in Puerto Rico, because it's a little different. And I want to at least give the viewpoint from my experience and what I've done there so far.
Yeah.
And just explain how that works, because it's from what I've never been to an auction in the States, but I've heard different stories of how it goes, and Puerto Rico is quite unique from what I've heard.
It is quite unique. I've done both. I've said this a couple times, but I had a day last year where I bought a house in the morning at the foreclosure sale in Carolina, and then right after that, within like an hour, I bought a house at the foreclosure sale in Orange County online.
That's
at
awesome.
the foreclosure sale. So I'm pretty sure, guys, if anybody else has ever done this, leave me a comment below. But I'm pretty sure that right now I'm probably the only guy who's ever done that. At least I'm feeling like I am. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
I thought that was a pretty cool story, and I want to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, you have to keep buying.
Yeah.
That's the business. You got to keep rolling.
Well, I'm wired to never stop. I'm
with you.
a deal junkie. I love it. So
I'm with you.
That's what you like this channel for, guys. If you like value add real estate investing. So let's talk about the house that you're renovating right now. So this is a bank foreclosure. So it actually went through the foreclosure process, and no one bought it there at the courthouse steps.
Yep.
The bank then takes it in as an REO, a real estate owned, and then you negotiate from there and buy it from them.
So this one specifically was a reverse mortgage. So the person passed,
Yep.
and it went through the foreclosure process, right? Which includes the auctions. And then the bank took that at the auctions, and we were able to buy it from the bank. We made him an offer, just went back and forth, and we were able to buy at what I think is a good price
So
in the market.
what were they asking? And I'm asking this because I think it's important for the guys watching to probably hear you didn't just pay them what they were asking.
No,
I get it.
honestly, I don't remember how much they were asking, but at least with some of these bank-owned, in my experience has been that typically they're going to be around 90% of what they're asking. Like they won't really accept, unless it's been on the market for a while. This one wasn't. This one had just been posted.
And it's in a good neighborhood, a gated community.
Yep. Very desirable area.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a cousin that literally lives just around the corner.
Okay.
And he actually looked at it maybe for him to buy it from me after I fix it. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
well, that would be good.
Yeah, that would be a win-win for sure.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So walk us through the numbers, and then I really want to talk about the renovation. I want to talk about a lot of stuff with you, but you're doing the renovation there for probably a better price than I can do the renovation for. I walked through it. I thought I'd probably spend $75,000 to renovate that property, and I think you're doing it for maybe $55,000.
Yeah.
So that's phenomenal. And that just goes to show you guys that, there's all kinds of levels to this. And tell us about what you're going to do to the place, because it looks like you're going to touch every portion of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically, every single, even electricals. I was going to say every single cosmetic item, but even we're doing some electrical work. We're adding a bathroom. So we're doing a lot of everything there. We're replacing floors, new kitchen. We demoed some walls that were kind of really in the way. The house was one of these handyman houses. So it was what I also like to call Frankenstein house, where you've got connections and things. So the guy was a handyman and not very handy. So we ripped out all the tile because a lot of them were lifted, and so those type of issues, a lot of electrical connections that weren't up to code. It was just a mess.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're bathrooms where it had like a studio apartment on one side of the house. So that we're going to be converting to a bathroom within the bedroom. So it's going to be a master. Well, basically we've got 3 masters at the house because each bedroom
has its own bedroom, bathroom.
Where it was like a studio, it's going to be a walk-in closet and a bathroom, which you guys will
we saw
videos
that.
of it.
Yep.
So
His and her closets, right? You got
Exactly.
the guy's small closet is out of the bathroom, and, and the lady's big closet is on the back side of the bathroom.
Exactly.
It's always fair. That's how that works.
Of course. And so that adds square footage too, because one of the things that I always do is I get an opinion of value from a local appraiser.
Okay.
So he went in and he did his appraisal, and I was able to add that space, because normally if I would have gone from that bedroom to that little room, then I can't really count that space.
Right.
So I made it into a bathroom and a walk-in closet, and now it's part of my living area, and so I added square footage.
So you add a couple hundred square feet or 150 square feet.
Yeah, about 160.
And what does it cost you to add that square footage versus what does it add in value?
Well, in that case, it's very minimal costs, except that I'm adding the bathroom. So typically, if you look at an appraisal here in Puerto Rico, a bathroom will add $2,500.
Okay.
On just the normal flips that I'm doing.
So it doesn't add a ton of value.
It doesn't add a lot.
But it helps you to sell the house.
Yeah,
a lot.
it also helps. But that's the bathroom portion of it. Separate to that is also the fact that I'm adding square footage. So it's crazy how low they appraise properties here as far as square footage, but I think it was like $70 a square foot. So that's let's say it's 200 square feet. So that's $14,000. So $16,500 with the bathroom. So and it's gonna cost me just to do that bathroom and everything else, I don't know, maybe $4,000.
Okay, so it's a heck of a return on that portion of the investment for
Yeah.
sure. We do the same thing on everything that we're ever involved with. We look for ways to add square footage whenever we can, especially when it's easy like that, and you can add it at a cost per square foot that's way down here, and even though it's appraised low, your cost is, if you're spending $4,000 on a couple hundred square foot, it's obviously much lower than $70 a square foot. So it's quite a good investment. A good return there. And it makes the house more sellable, right? Like all of the bedrooms have a bathroom. So this is going to be a highly desirable house when you're finished with it. Can you walk us through the numbers? Where'd you buy it? What did you put in it? What do you think you'll sell it for?
So the purchase, we bought it, I think it was like $138. We'll put about 50 into it, and we should be selling it between 250, 270. So that's about basically the numbers. We're pretty confident that we could get that. So if I got, my typical costs are about 5.15%, 3 to 4% for broker commission, and then 1.15% for closing costs and attorney fees. So that's about $13,000. So I'd be netting about $257 on a $270,000 sale. About
So 257, you're in it for 190.
Yeah.
And then you get back into what you're going to make there. So it's a nice profit on a $190,000 investment.
Yeah.
And you create housing. Maybe it's going to be your cousin, but maybe not.
Yeah.
Likely you're selling to an FHA buyer.
Not at that, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, that should fit FHA.
Yeah, it still fits. But and personally, I don't like FHA. I've never done an FHA loan for purchasing.
Okay.
The reason being that with an FHA loan, you're stuck with the insurance for the length of the loan.
The PMI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have a conventional loan, you could go as low as 5%, and once you get to 78% of the loan, it automatically
the PMI
goes
comes
away.
off. Yeah. So you can't recap it. Like if you start with FHA loan and you somehow you pay it down and you're under 80%, you can't get them to take away the PMI ever, huh? Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Is that the same in the States as it is here? This is something you'd think I should know, but I didn't know that.
That's how it's been explained to me.
Okay.
And so the loans I've done for myself have always been conventional because of that reason.
Okay. And then I'm guessing you probably coach your buyers the same way, right?
Yeah.
So you could be at 3% on an FHA deal, but you're going to have this PMI, or figure out a way to be at 5%. You still have PMI, but at least one day it can come off, and it'll save you a ton of money. That PMI stuff's expensive.
Yeah.
Private mortgage insurance, I think, is what PMI stands for.
Yep.
And so when you're not putting like 20% down, it's something that the banks require.
Yep.
What I like to think about when talking about and thinking through investments is how many lives do you think get touched by one? Let's say you do 20 a year, right? So we can extrapolate that, but just let's stick with the one house. How many people get touched? How many people are going to make some money off of the fact that you're buying this house to fix up and sell it?
Yeah, so last year we did 21 flips. The year before we did 16, and obviously we're looking to continue to grow that. So if you just start with buying the property, it depends if I buy at auction. So 60% of what I bought last year was at auction. The others were off market. Right. Or banks or whatever. So if you just consider on the buy side, let's say I'm buying from a bank like this case. So you've got the broker at the purchase. You obviously have the bank and the investors and whatever. You've got the attorneys that make money on that sale. Yep. Then on the rehab side, I have my appraiser, which I always use as soon as I buy it. The contractors and the workers. So that could be 8 to 10 people, depending on the project and the scope. You've got the attorney, the brokers, the people that work at the bank when they're doing the financing. I mean, you've got electricians, plumbers, so some trades that you have to do. The guy that does the certifications for me with the electrical
to get the lights turned on, to get the plumbing done.
So I mean, just in that, we're probably talking about 20 to 25 people.
You're touching and affecting people's lives 25 times. 25 different people are going
the buyers.
And the buyers get to live in it at the end of the day.
My project manager.
So you're employing people along the way. You're bringing something that was not looking great up to something that's looking great. And then somebody's going to get to live there and have a great life and raise their family. I mean, 25, 30 people, it's fair to say, you're going to touch inside of one deal. And I say this because real estate investors kind of get this bad rap. Like, you're doing all this and you're just greedy real estate investor making all this money, but you're really affecting a lot of people's lives. And because you do the business, and you said you really like business, that's amazing to me. I think it's an important part of the story.
Yeah, I mean, and people come, when you're at a certain level, people come to depend on you. Like my brokers, a good part of their income is from their work with me. My contractor, like he doesn't need to, my main guy, I've got several, but my main guy, he doesn't have to go to look for work.
He goes from job to job. So you got a few people that are calling you up going, what's next?
Yeah, literally.
We're finishing this one now. Where are we going, right? What's next? We have the same thing, right? Like that's a fun part. That's a fun part of the business for me, is to have those relationships and to see how we can renovate things from its distressed value, especially if you're buying a foreclosure or a bank-owned property, and then you're bringing it up to something that now goes from the worst-looking house in the neighborhood to the best-looking house in the neighborhood.
Yep.
That's always been really cool for me.
Yeah, one thing with the contractors is that a lot of them have been burned so many times. And so like my contractors have never missed a payment. They always get their money.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, contractors really work on a week by week basis. So they're continually like need money.
Yeah.
So they're happy with me because they know that they can rely on me, that they're always going to get their
You're
paycheck.
showing up on Friday and giving them some money.
Well, I'm not anymore. I just give them to my project manager. He helps me out with that.
He does it. That's nice.
So as you grow, you start
Yep.
just more people, and again, more people that get impacted. So actually my project manager, he was a coaching student of mine. And then he was like, hey, I can do more with you than on my own. And he saw the vision of where I want to go. So I was able to sell that to him.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'd rather work with you and let's go bigger together.
And so are you coaching people now?
Not currently. So I was doing some one-on-one coaching. I am working on developing a group type coaching.
Okay.
Because I think it can add more value in the sense that people can feed off each other.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm quite busy with what I have going on. So rather than coach a bunch of people one-on-one, which could take a lot of my time, I'd rather maybe do a 1 hour with 20, 30, 40, whatever people, and they can collaborate, they can contribute, everyone learns from each other, and then it's not taking more of my time versus maybe an hour a week.
What you're sort of describing a mastermind, possibly, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And we're interested in that as well, so maybe we can collaborate on that.
Yeah, for sure. We could talk about it. For me, it's about, I think there's a huge need in the market on everything, really. So people that want to learn the business and properties that need to get rehabbed.
Yeah.
Because there's so much inventory that is just getting lost in Puerto Rico. Like you go through any subdivision, any urbanización, as they're called here, or any barriada or any barrio, and you're going to see properties left and right. Like where I had that property that you went to, there's probably 17 houses in that gated community that are in despair. So
Don and I drove around. We took pictures of one or two that were for sale that definitely are distressed. And you can see entire streets where everything looks incredible. And then you can see something that doesn't look incredible right next to something that's beautiful. And that is, as you say, very, very typical on this island. It's not similar to the States. Like I don't see that much opportunity when I'm back home in Florida. I can't just drive around a gated community and, you know, every 10th house needs a real estate investor to come in and fix it up. It's why it's so attractive to be here in Puerto Rico, because there really is a lot of opportunity for you. You're never going to lack for the next deal. So your contractors and lawyers and everybody has some security in knowing that, you know, you're going to be able to find the next project. So that's very cool.
It's, and obviously the thing with Puerto Rico compared to the States is that's harder to get all the information you need to be able to get those deals, but they're that much more profitable. So a little more effort, a lot more profit.
Yeah, Pedro, where can people find you? And give us your contact information. And if you've got some social media or something, we'll make sure to get it into the description below.
Yeah, so look me up on Instagram, Pedro Cardona, Pedro, like vote for Pedro, Cardona, like Grant Cardone, but instead of an E and A. So Pedro Cardona 10X, just look me up at Pedro Cardona 10X. Also, if I can add some value to your community, I have a sheet that you could use, like a Google Sheets. Just go to flippingpuertorico.com and you can put your info there and get a free Google Sheet, analysis sheet, which is what I use for analyzing properties.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for that. Guys, hope you enjoyed that.